Hi all. Right, welcome to what is hopefully going to be my next playthrough, solo war game playthrough. And I need to start recording this because I'm messing about and looking at things, and I think I need to get the recording started so that I can then start moving things about. Yeah, I'm going to be looking at the rules a lot, as it seems to be quite often. I've got that many games that I want to get to the table that I've not really played yet, so I think that's what happens. They start gathering up. I guess my playthroughs take that long that yeah, and then you'll see another game, you'll go and buy it, and it sits on the shelf. I've got a couple that are not even, some in the shrink that. But I find that it's a better way for me to play it is just switching on the camera and start playing. Obviously, I don't know the rules very well at all. I've read through them. Had a mess about with things, looked at what videos. Anyway, what is the game? Okay, it's here. Normandy, the beginning and the end. This is a game by Spanish designer, published by Draco Ideas. We can see here, series designer, because this is, I think there's 4 games in the series just now. Juan Carlos Cebrian and Nicholas Escobay. And the designer of this one is Juan Carlos Cebrian. So Spanish game. This is what makes things a little bit trickier for me, but I dare say people that are not English speaking get the worse than this for us than what we do, because most of the games are in English, made in English rules, and any help and videos out there in English, so it's a bit of a struggle getting there's not much video footage on this. There's one guy that's done, well, when I say not much video footage in English, there's one guy that's done a playthrough of this solo, and unfortunately it's all in Spanish. I realise there is a way of getting subtitles up on YouTube, but unfortunately his very first part has got the subtitles switched on, and then the next 3 or 4 are switched off, so you can't get the subtitles. So I was pretty frustrated when I found out you could do that. At first I was like, oh yeah, I can watch it and at least follow along a little bit. And then I went on to part 2, and it's like you can't access the subtitles. So yeah, and also I think I might going to struggle for support for this game. Now I say I might going to struggle. You never know. The designer could well be there, or there could be other people out there that have played this game and know it well. I don't think the rules are terribly complicated, but when we bring the solo side of it into it, I think that then increases it by quite a bit. Because this game really intrigued me from what I read about the solo rules, which we'll look into. The solo rules, it looks really good how it works, and although there is still mention of you might have to not so much make a choice, but the AI might start doing some daft and you've got to intervene a little bit, which I never like to see, and make a choice, I never like to see that, but it does look quite complete. So, well, then I'll see how it goes. Like I say, I've not really played into it to know how it works that way. Yeah, and I'm not quite sure I'm ready to start playing this, but like I say, it's been set up for a while, and I've set it up before and put it away because I never got around to doing it. I think just getting it started. This part, the video, whether it will have any gameplay in it or not, I'm not sure. It might get started, but I mean, there's me 5 minutes in and I'm just like introducing things. Yeah, so I'm not sure if we're going to have issues and need questions. It's certainly not going to be like my last playthrough Europa Universalis, where I was even on a Discord channel that I could just go and fire a question away and go an answer back in a few minutes at most of the time. So I think if we do have any queries on this, it might be tricky to find an answer. And a lot of the questions and stuff out there on the forums are quite possibly going to be in Spanish. I can't speak or read Spanish, so unfortunately. But looks a good game. And this is like I said, I think the first game in the series was it one about the Spanish Civil War? wonder if it tells you in the back of this. Maybe not. Barricadas or something. La Barricadas. And then there's this one. And I do have the more latest one. It's called Help Arrives. I have that. I bought that, and I'm glad I did, because it's got a more up to date version of the rules. Because you've got the standard set of rules, and really, that's not that. There's a lot of stuff in this game. There's a lot of stuff. It's not that. So you've got the standard set of rules, but if you buy Normandy beginning of the end, unless I dare say there might be a newer release of that, but the version I got comes with version 2. It's just version 2 of the rules. Well, this has been updated to 2.1, and I got this in the other game, the Help Arrives game. So you get a standard set of rules in the game, and then you get exclusive rules for the actual game. These ones, and obviously whatever game it is you've got. And then, but we're playing solo, so and the whole point of this was, I mean, the actual game itself is for 2 players. However, this is an expansion that turns it into solo. Alone in the Storm. Again, by the same company, same designers, etc. Actually, I think that the designer's different, isn't it? Jose Manuel Moreno, game designer for the solo side of things. So hopefully he's out there answer some questions, because I dare say they will come. And then with this game, of course, there's quite a few books involved in this, because you can play it. It turns it cooperative. There's competitive modes. There's lots of different ways you can play it. There's the rulebook for the solo mode. There's the scenario generator, so you can generate your own scenario, and tells you about the different game modes. In here you can see you've got the solitaire game, cooperative mode, competitive mode, and let's say the scenario generator. But it looks like there's loads in this. So you've got that, and then you've got all the scenarios here from. That covers all the games in the series to be able to play them solo. So the first one there is LBF. It's does it not give you the name there? Labatai? No, I don't know. LBF. Right, let me find out what the actual the games in the series are. Yeah, so you've got Alas Barricadas, La Bataille de France, or something like that. So that's the La Bataille France. So this comes with a solo game to cover all of the rules to turn. You know, if you've got these older games. So that's the La Bataille France one, and then the next one is ALB. Alas Barricadas, wasn't that? Something like that. So you've got all the scenarios for that, and then Past the Hell, that's the other one. I think that's on the East against the Soviets and whatnot. So Past the Hell, that's one of the games. So these games are all been released previously. This is the Normandy Beginning and End one, so this is the one that we want. I think that's it. Yeah, and then the Help Arrives one that I've got new, which is the latest one at the moment. I think is going to, in its box, it's going to come with, whenever you buy one of the new games, it's going to come with the stuff to allow you to carry on playing it solo. So it's all set up pretty well. There's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of charts, flow charts to go through for the solo side of things, and yeah, there is a lot. I mean, it's a tactical game, some of the way it works is quite similar to some of the other games that I play, tactical wise. It seems quite similar to, what was it, one of the other ones I've tried, Heroes of Normandy. I've still not, the solo system for that didn't really work for me. I may go back and revisit it because they did update the rules, but anyway, so that's what we're playing. So let's have a look. I've set up, I mean, it's basically, you're better just starting with the first scenario, aren't you? Right, okay, so I've set some things up. This is the first scenario. called Patrol in the Front, I think it is. Here's the situation. Patrol in the Front, Normandy, Scenario 1. So this comes in the main game, this card. Well, it tells you a historical introduction. June the 9th, 1944, companies of the 2nd Battalion are scouting on their way to Carentan when they run into German units looking for strong defensive positions. So you've got an order of battle here, telling you what side, the Americans on the west side, the Germans on the east. That shows you the map, what map you're using. I think you get maybe 4 maps in the game. A small footprint map, so I've got plenty of space on my table, which is maybe just as well, because I think there's going to be a lot of books and charts open. So last 6 turns, there's the victory conditions. It's just about getting victory points. Some special rules there, but I'll maybe look at that in a bit. So I've set things out. I don't want to go in and try and explain everything, try and teach the game. I think what's needed out there is a playthrough of the game, because the rules aren't that hard to follow, but it's better with some video footage to look at, and it's just not there. It's not really out there, and especially the solo side of it. So I'm going to give that a bash and see how it plays out. Now, unfortunately, you can see up here that this little track, I didn't get this track. I believe it should have been in the Alone in the Storm box, but it wasn't there. I noticed somebody else commented on the forums that they never got it as well. Now, I at first thought it was in the Normandy beginning of the end box, and I'd got it second hand, so I can't really do nothing about that. But then I later found that it was in Alone in the Storm. I thought, well, I'll get in touch with whoever I bought it from to try and see if I can get a replacement. And I thought, oh, I'll not bother. So I've kind of created my own there. I dare say I could make it a bit more colourful, but it's just simple. So it's to track some things, mainly on the solo side of things. But it'll do. I'm sure we can make it function okay. So here's the map itself. These are the Americans. These are the setup hexes. Now, again, like I say, I don't want to try and explain all the rules in the game, but it's a game that's worked by command. So you've got officers here, and these are all different. They're different platoons, aren't they? Let me get my wording right here. Yeah, so you got platoons. So you've got an officer for the platoon. There's different types of officer depending on if it's infantry platoons or whatever. And then you've got troop units. These represent groups of between 30 and 40 soldiers. That is approximately 1 platoon. Now, for game purposes from this point, we'll use the term company to define a group of platoons commanded by their parent officer. Alright, hang on then. Hang on, am I getting this wrong? Hang on. So, is this a company then? They're in alphabetical order. You can see this. This is our leader for this one. He's a B, Lieutenant Essig. So that must be Company B. Yeah, and each one of these are a platoon. That's what it is, isn't it? Each one of these is a platoon. I think that's right. Yeah. Okay. So we've got, and I think at the start of the game you're meant to randomise these officers. So I've done that and I've ended up with B, E and F. And I think the reason you randomise them, because some of them have got better command than others. If I just zoom in on this guy here, F, Captain Ryman. Just quick see what he is. You can see he's from Company F. That's his stripes. That's not really relevant. The yellow 7 is his morale. And the white 5 is his movement. The black 1 in the middle, that's his range. So he commands everything within 1 range. Anything outside of 1 hex, he won't be able to command it, and they'll be out of command. And the red 1 in the yellow box is their... That's to do with their morale, isn't it? Hang on a second. Yeah, I'm not finding that so clear. I think it's a leadership and coordination value. I think it can get added to morale when you're doing morale checks, depending on something. We'll get to it. But the other bits, let's see, he's got his name, his rank, which is he's the captain, so he's got 2 stripes, and then his morale and tactical skill, it calls it. Then his movement is a white number, and then he's obviously from the company company A. Company E. Sorry, I'm pointing at the wrong one. Sorry, F here. 752. That's his range, so you can stretch out 2 hexes, and that's his coordination. I think it gets added to morale when we do morale checks. Like I said, we'll get to that. And then for each platoon, so let's just take the platoon here that's down here. So they've got a range there. The small, well, there's a fire factor. That's 6. The range is 2. That tells you what their type. These are airborne. And there's loads and loads of counters in this game as well. Some of it was quite confusing to work it all out. You can see this light blue background here behind the soldier. That tells you it's an airborne unit. And you'll see that the Captain Ryman, in fact, if I flip him over, he should say airborne officer, I think. Or, yeah, there we go. So he's an airborne officer. So you basically shuffle all them up and randomise them. I think that's what you're meant to do at the start of this. I'm going to go over some things that I might not be 100% clear on, and just try and play it to the best. What else have we got here? So, right, sorry, phone call. So, yeah, so firepower is a 6, range is a 2. His platoon type is airborne. Now the size, the colour in the background there is the size of the platoon. Green being small, yellow being medium, and red being large, I think. And that affects spotting, I think, mainly. So these are small. The next number under that is their assault value, and then that's their movement down the bottom. There is a relevance to this is in a yellow box, which tells us it is. See, this is why I didn't want to try and explain all these things. And just if you're coming in to look at the playthrough, then try to learn the game. You've probably read the rules, and I'm not one to try and teach everything, you know. It's the type of fire. I think I'll be able to find these things quite easily in the rules, isn't it? Yeah, so there we are. On page 12 it tells us about... So yellow is anti-personnel fire. And that's the main one we're going to use. That's the fire, the infantry on infantry, really, isn't it? Well, attacking infantry, I think. White, if it was white, it'd be anti-tank. If it was orange, it'd be artillery. And if it was in red, it'd be a flamethrowing. But I don't think we're going to see any of that in this first scenario, so they are going to be in yellow. Now, the other relevant thing here is this, and the first ones are on top. You'll see the number is a red number. If we look at the other platoons here, oh no, the other same. Oh, you know what it is? It's the assault one. The assault one's in red, isn't it? These are all in red. So you see the assault number, and that guy's in red, and that one's not. So that means something as well. And I can't remember what. it must give them some extra ability in assault, I would think. Yeah, it's to do with assault, but I'm not going to look into it because I've only read up section 1, and it tells you to stop there. I don't want to read any more of the details. It tells you to stop there and try scenario 1. So that's what I've done. So we're not going to get anything, you know, it's a good way of getting you into the game before having to read all the rules, you know. So, and we've also got machine gun, I mean, I guess they're platoons as well, aren't they? So you can see they're bigger counters, these. I'm quite sure why that was, but you can see they've got similar things. That's they're in green, they're in F company, obviously. That is their assault value. It's only a 2 for them. Their movement's only 4 compared to the infantry, which is 5. Their attack value's 3. Now you can see it's not in the red. I want to say the red means semi-automatic fire. It means they get an extra -1 to their die roll. And that's a good thing. Minuses are better when it comes to that side of things. So they're in red. You can see that's in black, but it's still the yellow. And the 3 is the range, so they've got a slightly longer range. They've got 3 steps, each platoon. So the first hit that they take, you get a little bit in hand here. There we go. We get a -1 counter on it, so that would put it on there, and then his firepower would only be 5. Then if he took another hit, you discard that, and then you flip him over. Here's the other side. So you can see he's then quite reduced. If he takes another hit, that's him eliminated. So he's lost half his firepower by flipping over, and his assault power, isn't it? It was 4, yeah. There are some that if they have a vehicle in the back, if they don't have the same icon in the back like that, if they have a vehicle, then what you do is you don't flip it over on its on its second hit. So you would have a first hit there, and then what you do is rather than flipping it over, you flip that over to a -2 and it gets -2, and then if it takes another hit, then it's eliminated. But not sure we'll have any of them in this scenario either. Okay, that's kind of it from the American side of it. They start up there. There's a randomize where they start as well. It tells you here to where does it say the setup? Yeah. Place a company on each of these hexes and 3 adjacent ones south. Well, it tells you in here, but if we go to the solo side of things, it tells you to random things. Now, again, so I think I have set this up right, because I was watching. There is a couple of videos out there that are in English, but they're just playing it as a 2-player. They're not playing it as a solo. They're just playing it like 2-handed, you know, which is something that I struggle with. But so that says that they get placed off map right enough. Well, I've got our ones on map now. Right, let's talk about this. When I first looked into this, the solo side of things, I thought you had to, if you want to play the historical scenario, you had to set them up like that. So you had to have 3 airborne units with 1 officer, and this shows you the setup. It's like 1 officer, 3 airborne platoons, 1 machine gun, but then you times that by 3. So you end up with 3 officers, 9 platoons, and 3 machine guns. You know, each 3 different companies, basically. So I thought at first, well, initially I thought I was going to be able to use these, and these are what come with the solo side of things. And these I think are great because these are just intel markers. You don't know exactly what they are. Yeah, it's more than likely. Well, I don't know if they're guaranteed to be infantry or not. We'll find out. I'm pretty sure they are because these are infantry. There are other ones that are tanks. You've got tank A, but you don't know. There's lots of these counters as well, and on the back of these it's going to tell you what it's going to be. and also there's a chance of some events popping up, and it looks good. It looks good fun, and you've got to go and spot these and find out what they are. But I didn't think we could play with these when you're playing historical, because the historical setup. So I was going to just set it up historically, but then I read into it more and then understood it that yes, you can do this. Let me just see. So yeah, and here adapted historical scenarios. So in here we go, and there's the first one there, patrolling the front. So if you want to play the Axis as the AI, this is what you do. You set it up. You would have the three sets. They are the three companies. But you see, that says historical mode, and I didn't really pick up on this. And this says open mode, and then it tells you how to deploy them. And there's a role here. That's what we are setting them up. So at first I was going to set up these, but then I seen this here, and this means that you can set them up as these infantry A intel markers. So I've randomly selected 3 of them, and like I said, there's loads of them in the tray, but I shuffled them up and I picked 3 randomly. And I have that says enter, otherwise at hex. Yeah, see, that says deploy, that one, These say enter at hex 912. Now, I think there's some errata here. These are mixed about between the Axis and Allies, aren't they? Because there is errata. Yeah, that's right, it is. So actually they don't start on the map then. Basically, it was errata. They made a mistake here. This is for the American setup, and the other one was for. So I randomized these for the Americans, and then this is the German ones. I know it's the American ones, but these are what we've got set up, because we're not playing these as the AI, but this was the actual German. So it does say turn 1 deploy in hex B700. Deploy in B900, B1000, right? So I shouldn't have these on the map then. They should still be off the map. Oh, hang on, the numbers are wrong as well, aren't they? Oh no, they're not. 700, B700, 900, yeah, and 1100, is it? Yeah. So they should actually, and it says during turn 1 deploy on hex, whatever. So that should be how it starts. But I was happy when I seen that, because I thought I was going to have to start with the Germans all exposed, and I thought it'd be nice to not know what they were and whatever. And then I thought, yeah, you can do that. So I'm going to do it that way. I did wonder. I thought I might be making it slightly harder for myself, because these could randomise into something a bit trickier than, you know, what the historical mode would be. Yeah, but I thought it would be a good way, because I think you need to show this side of the game. You know, I think this, if I was wanting to watch a video on this game, I would be wanting to see how these intel markers work, not just how the actual AI operates. I want to see how these pan out and come into play and the likes. So that's the setup, and yeah, and like I say, these should have been, this one should have been deployed in 8612, right? Yeah, and the other 2 were you roll the dice. Now, maybe I didn't need to roll the dice there then for these other 2 companies, because this was a non-AI. I think if it was the AI, you'd be rolling the dice. But you know what? I've rolled the dice, and that's where they've come out. And that's fine. That's fine. They're fine. Now stacking actually is important as well, because I was a little confused by that as well. You can have 9 steps in a stack, and the leaders don't count for stacking. So that's, I've got 6 steps in there. So I could have another 3, and then I just assumed in the end that this was 3 steps as well. I guess it must be. It takes the same types of hit, so I'm assuming so. So I couldn't have them all in the 1 hex. So I've split up and put one of the infantry platoons with a machine gun. In each case, in each company, I've done pretty much the same, really. Yeah, let's say the leaders don't count for stacking. And stacking counts, no, you can't move. You can't even move into a hex if it's going to overstack, even if you're moving through it. So that's an important one to remember. What's the other thing? I want to say if 6 steps or more in a hex gives a benefit to somebody firing upon you, they get an extra -1, I think. So, you know, you might want to spread them out a little bit, but you want to keep them in command. And if they're stacked together, well, actually, I think if they're adjacent, they can still combine their firepower. But again, we'll get into that. Okay, so that's the setup. Yeah, and I'm going to have to show some of the AI setup stuff as well, because this number up here, this 4 up here under rush is important. You've got rush and resistance. This initiative, I put that in player initiative because Americans start first. And that's showing the turn marker. So it's turn 1, initiative with Americans. That's it. Like I say, the rush is 4. So, well, why don't you explain that? Well, hold on, before we do, I've also got, these are the victory hexes. Now, these have been randomised too. Now, the base game comes with 6 of them, but when I got the solo expansion, well, let me just tell you how many more there's in the box. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got another 8 in the box, so that's 5 there. So 12. So it adds another 6. So I was a little confused by that, and that's actually one of the questions I asked a while back. And I was told that you can just use all 12 of them, just randomise them. Because I thought, is that going to sort of change the balance a bit? Or the fact you're using 12 rather than 6? But I just got told to use them all. So I've just shuffled up them and randomised them. And it tells you in the setup where they get placed. So that's them. We don't know what numbers they are. They're obviously going to give you victory points at the end. You control them by either having one of your units on the hex or having been the last person through the hex. Unfortunately, one of the things is they don't have any markers to say that you've got, because you don't turn it over then or anything like that. You leave it unrevealed, so you still don't know how many points it's worth. I want to say they go from 1 to... It's 1 to 6 for the first 6, but let's say the other 6 maybe included, possibly included a 0 or 2. I might be wrong with that. I didn't really study them, but we'll see. And then so it tells you here about the victory conditions here. So you get 1 VP per each step loss inflicted to the enemy, plus the values of the VP tokens of the hexes under control. To control a hex, you must have one of your markers on top, or be the last to occupy such hex. Tally the victory points at the end of the game. A side is declared winner if they have 5 points or more than the opponent. Otherwise, the outcome is considered a tie. So, yeah, so you need to get more than 5 points over the opponent and to win, or it's just going to become a draw. Like I say, there's no markers to say that you've. So what I'll probably do, if I've not got one of my counters on the hex, I'll probably put a cube on to say that it's maybe a green cube for the Americans and a black cube or something, a grey cube for the Germans. Yeah, okay. So yeah, about this solo side of things. Okay, so it tells us all about this Russian resistance. This is in the solo rules, page 5, 4.2. Russian resistance is a numeric value that measures the current attitude of the AI. Rush measures the AI force's aggressiveness when the AI is in offensive mode. Generally, the AI will be in offensive mode if the AI side doesn't control enough objectives to win the battle. Resistance measures the AI force's will to hold their positions when under attack if the AI is in defensive mode. Generally, the AI will be in defensive mode when its side controls enough objectives to win the battle, or at the beginning of historic scenarios when specified by the rules. So, and then it tells you how to determine this. You've got to determine this every turn, I think. In order to determine the AI's attitude, the player must keep in mind the following factors. Amount of objectives needed to win the game. Difference between the amount of player companies and the number of companies plus intel markers of the AI. Number of turns left before the game ends. Then carrying on up here. Once all factors have been measured, this will result in your rush resistance value to be counted as rush if the AI is in offensive and resistance if it's in defensive. The rush resistance value is calculated during the HQ phase. You will find a detailed description of the process in chapter 6.2. So we've got to calculate that number, and that'll then decide what the AI does. This is I think the chart that you use. But hold on. Just before we go, it tells you what the value is at the beginning of the scenario and here. So if we're playing the axis is the AI, you can see there it starts with a rush value of 4. And then it tells you, gives you a description there. It says for rush resistance calculations, counts each objective hex, and that's all the ones with the victory point markers in it, as 1 VP. So when we come to do that, we've got to count each one of them as 1 VP. I think if you're playing as American, as the AI, it's exactly the same as well. So that's why that number is starting with a 4 up top. That's the number, the red number in the yellow box there. But just to give a quick look at, like I say, we've got to calculate that after in the HQ phase of every turn, and I think it's this little chart that we use. So I had a look at this when I was setting up, and I thought, well, let's see if this turns out to be 4. So it says count controlled objectives / victory points earned by the AI side. Well, that's 0 at the moment. Count controlled objective victory points earned by the player side, that's 0 as well. So calculate the difference between the results of the previous steps. So you subtract the players away from the AI. So 0 minus 0 is still 0, right? And then you count the AI forces in play and discard depleted companies. So depleted companies don't count towards this number. You count the player companies in play and discard depleted ones. And then you determine the forces ratio as division from steps 4 and 5. So basically it's 4 divided by 5. So it sounds a bit complicated, and then you determine the rush resistance value from this chart, modify the result from 7 according to the current game turn. Modify the result from that chart by the current game turn, and I think it tells you, it's down here with the modification. If it was on the last turn, you'd add a +3. If it was the penultimate turn, you'd add a +2. And then take the appropriate amount of high, medium, and low activity level markers, so you get some activity markers to put on. So, well, it's 0, 0, but count the AI forces in play and discard depleted companies. Well, I suppose they are not in play yet, so they are 0, because they are off map, aren't they? I think so, yeah. And then count the player companies in play and discard depleted ones. So player companies, well, there's 3 companies, isn't there? That's a company. So that's 3. So we've got 3 companies and the AI's got 0. Let's see if this is working out. So 0 to 3. That can't be right. I must be going to count then. Yeah, I must have to count them. Count the AI forces in play. Yeah. Right, sorry, I was on pause there for a bit. So I think I was talking about this rush resistance number, and saying that the fact that these aren't in play, because I actually thought these might start in play in this way, but it doesn't look like they do. And this sort of says count the AI forces in play. But the actual scenario instructions do say that it starts with a rush value of 4 anyway. and you check this every turn. So like next turn, they're going to have 3 companies in play. So there's going to be 3 companies for the German side and 3 companies for our side. So you then look, the ratio is obviously going to be 1 to 1. So then we go down this column here to find the number. Determine the ratio, right? Yeah, we determine it from the chart and then we modify the result in the current game turn. Well, there's no modifications there, it's the first game turn, so there's no modifications. And take the appropriate amount of high, medium and low activity level markers. Well, we'll look into that shortly as well. So 1 to 1, hang on, what is objectives ratio? Yeah, the objectives ratio was the first one, wasn't it? So that's a 0, and the forces ratio is 1 to 1. So it's a 4. So that's the number that they calculate to start with anyway, so that must be what it is. This red box, there's some relevance to that. Can't remember what it is. And yeah, any number that comes out that's in orange is resistance, and if it's in white, it's rush. Why these are white, green, I don't know, but I'm assuming these all white, green and white are all the same, and it's just the orange ones that are the resistance. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why they've done that, why they've got this white green row, because there's no, I don't know what the white green means. It says white for rush. I'm sure it explains that in the rules as well, but so okay, so this value is number 4 anyway, and then take the appropriate amount of high, medium and low activity level markers, right? So cause the rush value is 4, so back to the rule book on page 5 of the solar rules, just after the rush resistance part that talks about the activity level. Activity level measures the ability and desire of each AI force to comply with their orders. AI forces may have the following levels of operation. So high level forces with a high activity level are the first to activate during the activation phase. They also perform more aggressive actions while in offensive mode, and they can even upgrade their positions or perform counterattacks while in defensive mode. Then you've got medium level. They're activated after the higher level and perform less aggressive actions while in offensive or defensive mode. Then low level, they are activated last and perform support and movement actions while in offensive or defensive mode. Activity level markers are provided to know the activity level of each AI force. These markers are placed on the HQ board for AI companies and below intel markers or out of command platoons on the game board. Right, it doesn't tell us how we give out. You find a detailed description, chapter 6.2, let's look at that. So here's 6.2, and this is the HQ phase, which this is, it tells you there, this is a new phase in the game, so because of the AI side of things. This is a new phase required to determine, I'll zoom in a little bit now, determine the AI force's attitude during a game turn, to set the attitude for the AI offensive or defensive mode and the associated rush resistance value. You must analyse the number of controlled objectives for each side, the difference between the number of companies on the player and the AI sides, as well as the number of turns remaining to end the game. That's what we've just done. Well, we looked at it. To be honest, it gives you the number to start with. It just tells you 4. But each turn we need to do this. And then determining the results determines what activation, and then there's the process in full to go through there. This is on page 6, so just the following page. So that's determining the rush resistance, and this is what the little board, a bit of the little board should look like up there. The one I got missing, that board up the top. So you can see we've got day and night up the top, and then it's got rush resistance, and then there's also more of the. It's just showing you that part. So I've had to just create that myself. So this is a bit we're looking at now. So it says determine the number of high, medium and low activity level markers available at the AI side for the current turn. Activity level is determined with the rush resistance value by following these rules. So high activity level is the number of companies or intel markers with a high activity level each turn will be half of the current turn's rust resistance value, rounding down. So our rust resistance value is 4, so we're going to get half of that as high activity level markers. So where are they? There they are. That's low. Where's the high ones? Hang on a sec. Okay, so there's the 2 high activity level markers that they're going to start with, and then it says a minimum of 1 high activity level marker must be used. Companies / intel markers with a high activity level may perform actions twice in the same game turn. I'm not sure if we should be giving these out just now or not, because the first turn is them just coming onto the map, so it's going to be the same though, because then they're just going to get the same, I believe. So medium activity level, the number of companies or intel markers with medium activity level each turn shall be equal to the current turn's rust resistant value. So we're going to get 4 of them. Okay, so we've got 4 medium ones as well. And then, and again, I don't think we need all this because we've only got 3 companies. So I think we only need 3 of these markers. And then low activity level each turn, any remaining companies and intel markers without an assigned high or medium will have a low activity level marker. So in actual fact, yeah, I think we only need the 2 highs and 1 of the mediums, because we've only got 3 intel markers. Right, okay, so I've set them aside. I think that's all we need to do for like getting things set up here. And the sequence at play, well, this is in the solo book. I suppose we should look at this. And it says, well, like in a standard 2-player game, each scenario is divided into turns. Each turn represents about 12 to 15 minutes of real time. And there's 6 turns in this, wasn't there? Yeah. I'm just using the turn track there, but the actual scenario turn track, if you like, only goes up to 6. So, but I mean, I'm not going to use this as well, as long as we know that once we get to turn 6, is that 6 there? Yeah, so we're just going up to there. Divided into the following phases. So you've got the command phase, which is where you decide if any of your platoons might be out of command, and you've got to mark them accordingly. You've got the headquarter phase, which is this phase that we've just done. So yeah, see, I'm a little unsure if these should start on the map or not. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to... Oh, no, because he plays the American side, doesn't he? The one recording that's out there and it's in Spanish, he plays the AI as the American side. So, yeah. So these do have to come onto the board. But, I mean, they come on a specific hex. Yeah. I'll see if I can find out a bit more about that. Then you've got initiative phase to see who carries out the first action first, and then you just activate units back and forward until you've all done them, or you've both passed. And then, which is the activation phase and performing actions, and then the final phase is marker removal phase, which you take off the markers. You've got finished markers that you mark, and there'll be other markers that will come and go. So yeah, I think I'll just leave it like that, and then just leave this video as a sort of introduction. I know not if a lot's happened, but I'll add that to my comment in the header. I'm not sure how this is going to go, how this is going to play out, to be honest, but I'm intrigued to see how this works. To see how the AI performs in this game. So, right, and I don't know where to upload it, if I should upload this video to the main Normandy beginning and end. I think I probably will. I mean, that's where the guy, the video that's in Spanish, that's where he's put it. and it is playing with the solo rules, and I think more people are going to look at that page than the actual Alone in the Storm solo page. I think it's probably the better place to put it, even though it is a solo game. But I don't think you can't put these in two places, can you? You've got to choose one or the other for the start. So I'll probably just put it in there, and yeah, and we'll see. I will need. That's something I'm going to have to look into to see if these should be here or they should be on the map, and are these markers, are these activity level markers, should they be on these just now? Yeah, there's quite a bit of learning for me going to come, but I think it needs to be something more needs to be out there on this game. There's just not enough to get you moving, Matt. So anyway. Right, well, I've got 50 minutes in there, so I'll just leave that now and come back with the next part and start some gameplay and see how we go on. Okay, right, cheers.